Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saima, Leadership Wali.
Mm-mm. Walaikum assalam. Nice to meet you,
Today is
Saima.
I'm doing my ChatGPT. I have some questions for you. ChatGPT, are you ready?
Ready? Go ahead.
Okay. My first question is, what does making a good decision means to you?
Hmm. Well, to me, a good decision is one that's aligned with your long term values, not just convenience or some quick gain. It's when you think through the consequences, not just what do you want right now, but also what will still feel right later.
Hmm.
Does that idea resonate with you?
Okay, my next question is, why do people often regret their decisions?
Hmm. Often regret pops up when we focus too much on the outcome, the result, and we ignore the information that we had at the time when we made the choice. So sometimes it's unrealistic expectations. Sometimes it's new information that makes you think, oh, if
Okay,
only I
my
knew
question is,
that.
how can you tell if a decision is based on emotions rather than logic?
I think you can tell when the reasons feel a little fuzzy. If the language is more like, I just feel it, and less about the actual trade offs and the facts, that's a clue. Sometimes there's also a rush to decide and urgency, that can be an indicator of an emotional decision.
Okay, how important is
Logic,
gathering information before making a decision?
oh, very important, but only up to a point. Too little info leads to guesswork, but too much, and you can get analysis paralysis where you just can't move. So the trick is getting just enough reliable info to make a grounded choice. Does that fit in with how you usually decide things?
Okay, can you please tell me how can setting clear goals improve your decisions?
Clear goals are like a compass. If you know what matters most, say stability, learning, relationships, you can filter options through that. Then you stop chasing random perks that don't serve those goals. It keeps you consistent and significantly reduces second guessing later.
Okay, my next question is, how do you balance risk and rewards?
Balancing risk and reward means asking what's the worst likely case? And can I live with that? And on the flip side, if it works, does it actually move me closer to what I want? Yeah, if the downside is survivable and the upside actually matters, that's
Okay,
usually a
can you
green
please
light.
tell me how does in overthinking leads to poor decisions?
Hmm. Overthinking can drown out your confidence. So you gather more and more info, but each piece makes you more uncertain. That can lead to delaying action or picking something safe, but uninspiring. Sometimes good decisions are about being comfortable with good enough.
Okay, can you please tell me why do people struggling with making big life decisions?
Um, Big life decisions, they're heavy because they're mixing practical risks. There's identity. What kind of person am I if I choose this path? And the fear of closing one door and maybe regretting it. Usually, the struggle is more about uncertainty and wanting a guarantee where none exists. And that makes the choice feel heavier than it actually is.
Can you please tell me what lessons can regret teach us?
Hmm. Regret can actually be a useful signal. It can show you what values you really care about. So, for example, if you regret not speaking up, that teaches you that honesty matters to you. And regret can clarify what's non negotiable for you next time. So, instead of seeing regret as failure, try seeing it as feedback for smarter decisions going forward.
Can you please tell me how do we recover from making a bad decisions?
Well, first, just own it without beating yourself up. Then figure out what was actually in your control and what wasn't. Then decide one small step to realign with your values. So take what you learn and turn it into something useful this time.
Okay, what role do friends and family play in your decisions?
Hmm. They can add perspective, support, and reality checks, but they can also add noise if their goals are different. Helpful input informs, but unhelpful input just pressures. It's fine to listen, but own the final call yourself. Otherwise, you risk living out someone else's plan.
Okay, can you please tell me how can past experience improve future decisions?
Past experiences give patterns. You start noticing what situations drain you and which energize you, and what cues that you're drifting off track. Then you can use those lessons in new contexts. It's like having a private handbook for what works for you and what don't do again.
Why is it is important to accept uncertainty?
Hmm. Well, accepting uncertainty, it's important because you can't really make good, thoughtful decisions without accepting some uncertainty. You can't get a guarantee. So, accepting that keeps you from chasing perfect answers and from delaying action. It lets you commit but still adapt when new info shows up. Flexibility really, it's strength, not
When should you
weakness.
ask for advice before decision?
Yeah, ask advice when others have expertise you don't have, or when the impact will affect other people too. But choose advisors who understand your values, not just your options.
Hmm.
And you don't
When
have
should you
to
ask
pull
for
everyone.
advising before deciding?
Yeah. You can ask for advice before deciding when the stakes matter and you're open to hearing no. Don't ask just to get approval.
Hmm.
Ask when you're genuinely ready to consider changing your mind.
Okay, what is the value of learning from failure?
The value of learning from failure is you shorten the time between oops and aha. And you build humility and better judgment for next time. It's feedback. If you treat it like feedback, not a verdict.
Okay, thank you so much, ChatGPT. This is my last question.
Hmm.
So next time we see you again. So thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
You're welcome. Allah Hafiz. Take care. Until next time.